What's up guys, DreamcastGuy here. So recently I've been playing through some of the older Rockstar titles, notably Manhunt and Bully. Both very interesting titles in the Rockstar universe, but as I played through them, I started to notice eerie similarities. Let me go over the plot of both of these in case you have never played these amazing titles. Bully follows the story of James Hopkins, a 15-year-old kid dropped off at a boarding school after his mother being remarried for a 5th time goes on a year-long honeymoon. This school is brutal. The cliques are all vying to be on top, and he has to climb his way up the social ladder one brutal conquest at a time. Although he doesn't enjoy violence, he is unfortunately forced to it time and time again, and eventually earns the respect of his peers and teachers. Manhunt follows the story of James Earl Cash, a man sentenced to die by lethal injection for an unknown series of crimes. But on the day of his execution, instead of dying, he's simply injected with a tranquilizer, waking up later in a macabre gauntlet owned by Lionel Starkweather. Lionel Starkweather, who calls himself the Director, informs Cash that he is now in a game that really has no winners. He is forced to kill target after target, skinheads, gang members, the insane, anybody on camera for Lionel Starkweather and his aching viewers' tantalizing amusement. If he can survive the entire gauntlet, freedom will be earned, or so Cash hopes. So about now I'm sure you're wondering, look DreamcastGuy, how is a game about a kid giving people swirlies and a game where a guy's putting slivers of glass up people's asses at gunpoint connected? Well, let me expose the deep secret. These are the same person. James Hopkins and James Earl Cash are the same person. Now let me explain how you go from childhood bully to murder machine in just a few short years. As Bully opens, the time period is quite unclear. People dress like it's the 50s, talk like it's the 80s, the computers say it's the 90s, but flyers say it's the year 2000. What year is it? I think this is specifically done on purpose by the developers, to basically say, this school doesn't actually have a time period. It's every school. It's your high school, it's your kid's high school, everybody's going to deal with these problems. But fuck the developers, I'm pinning this at 1995. That's what one of the computers says specifically in the arcade. A lot of the stuff in the time period fits what could all exist in 1995. They make references to Rocky and Back to the Future as if these are at least semi-recent or still very much in the pop culture eye, which they were during that time period. So I'm saying 1995. Now, why 1995? Because that means the 15-year-old Jimmy Hopkins has 5 years to become James Earl Cash. James Earl Cash is convicted and put on death row in the year 2000 and executed, air quotes, in 2003, beginning the events of the game Manhunt. One of the strongest ties has got to be pointed out. Their physical resemblance and mannerisms are identical. When James Hopkins has to deal with bullies, he beats them with no remorse. When he has to use a bottle rocket to pretty much blind children, he feels nothing. When James Cash has to kill somebody with a knife and a plastic bag, he doesn't grunt, he doesn't flinch, he just does it. Both of them feel nothing, and I don't mean that in a horrible sociopathic they get off on it. I mean literally they don't feel good or bad. It is just like taking out the trash to them. This objective needs to be completed. This child needs to lose his eyes. This man needs to be strangled with piano wire. It's what they do, and they do it well. This is so strong of a tie together. I mean, they look so similar, their voices are similar, they act similar. Alright, now I know that's light evidence, let's move on to some other connections that tie the two universes together. In Bully, when you go to town, sometimes the townspeople actually refer to the latest Starkweather film and discussing what they think of it. This is very interesting because it ties directly into Manhunt. The director, the person who builds that horrible gauntlet of murder and madness for Cash to go through, is actually called the director for a reason. He used to be a big-time film director, Lionel Starkweather, but upon his fall from grace, decided to start directing snuff films. So we know that Starkweather was already big in the movie business and relevant when Jimmy was a kid. So that gives him 5 years to fall from grace and turn to snuff films as Cash is growing up and becoming the murderous James Earl Cash we see in Manhunt. A very interesting link. In Manhunt, the director holds James's family hostage and says, "Every time my men find you, we're going to execute another member of your family," forcing James to silently, stealthily kill every single person in the level in order for his family to survive. We see that he has a mother, a father, possibly a sister, and a brother. The director even mentions, like, "Oh, sir, you're not very close with your family. I know you haven't seen him in a while," implying that even then he's very estranged from his family, like a boy who was abandoned as a child. Now, I am saying that James probably got picked up from the boarding school at the end of Bully, but after that, he probably isn't going to be very close with his family. He has a new dad, possibly new brothers and sisters. What do these people mean to him? Nothing. He's just waiting, serving time till he's 18 to get out of that family, make his own life. So, when they're suddenly held hostage by the director, he wants to save them because he wants to save anyone he can. But when he sees them killed by the director anyways, it fills him with rage. Rage at the family he can now never know. A family that abandoned him as a child, and now he will never be able to fully connect with them. So let's go over the whole timeline in summary. Born, raised, mother remarried a bunch of times, gets married the 5th time, drops him off at boarding school, goes through hell in a handbasket, survives by crushing all of his foes, picked up, mom gets divorced for a 5th time, gets remarried for a 6th time, giving him the last name Cash legally. He gets into trouble, maybe kills a few people, goes on the run for a short time, is caught, is taken to prison, sentenced to death, escapes execution, fights his way through the Manhunt gauntlet, kills Starkweather, and finally earns his freedom, albeit now without a family to his name. This is how you go from Jimmy Hopkins the boy to James Cash, the murdering man. This has been another Dreamcast Guy Theory. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, maybe check out my last video. Please subscribe, and if you want, share this somewhere with your friends.